G'day, Aussie Bonsai Bloke. Yeah, go. Well, today we've got the icon Australian native, the bottlebrush, and we're going to be working on that, cutting it back. As you can see, she's grown pretty well. She's recovered from her stress. I think I've gone on about it before to a fairly good extent, and pretty well just, mentioned that I let it burn a year and get frosted and then burn again and then get frosted again, and she almost died. This tree is, I think, close to 40 years in a pot. So by far my oldest tree in a pot, easily. I bought this, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and it was in very, very poor health when I bought it. The whole back of the tree was against the wall and there was almost nothing on it. I got it to really, really good health, massively good health. It was just, you couldn't even see into the tree. It was that dense. Then I moved house out to here in the desert, and through poor watering and I don't know, too busy, too lazy, whatever you want to call it, it had a really hard time. Nearly died. Really ashamed to say, but I almost killed it. I lost a lot of the twiggy branching. A lot of that died back, but the last 2 years, 1 year, no, only 1 year. The last 1 year I've been really looking after it, and as you can see, we've got good growth all over it. I've been pointing the weaker branches to the sun, so around the whole tree you can see that we've got pretty good growth. Now, future design of this tree, I love the overall shape of it, and the trunk and the bark. It's just amazing. I'll show you guys a close-up of that bark later, but it is bloody beautiful. You can't get much better bark than that. It's beautiful. And I like this root here. Now, the design at the moment is that this is the front here, okay? And that's fine. I'd love to have a back branch somewhere down low here, but there isn't one, and I don't see how one can grow out of such an old cork bark trunk. Like, this is like a I would have to say this is like a cork bark bottle brush. It really is. Like, the trunk on this with the cork is amazing, and like I say, it's 30 to 40 years old. I don't know an exact age, but I know it is old. But anyway, what I was thinking, instead of going that way for a front, is more interesting line in the trunk, I think. That gives you that nice root out here, coming towards you. A couple of roots at the back here. You get to see all that branch structure. The only thing is it's leaning away. So when I replant into a pot, it would have to come forward a lot. Like, I'm talking that far. So you can see it's massive. It's nearly a 45-degree angle change. But I think I can do it, and I think that's going to be its next repot. It may not be put back into this pot. I think this pot suits it with the colours and stuff. But some of you long-time watchers would have seen that when I said, I had a video which was called, I don't know, Aussie Bonsai Bloke, I don't know, Devastation or something. The trampoline blew away and it was brand new, and this tree blew off the benches onto the ground. And when it did that, it's actually got hairline cracks through this whole pot. So, so the pot itself's actually pretty well compromised. It's got a couple of hairline cracks through the whole thing. Eventually, it will break, and the pot covers in like that. So I might trim around the sides of this come spring, take it out this pot and put it into, I'm thinking I'm going to go a bigger pot because this one always dries out the quickest, although this year I've had 2 drippers in here and it's actually been pretty good. It hasn't dried out, it's never dried out. I've kept a really close eye on it. All my bonsais now, I've reinvigorated. I've been keeping a really close eye, going out looking every day, make sure everything's good. Whereas, a year or so ago when I was so busy with everything else, growing the shot about trees, to be honest, I didn't even go back and look to see whether things were getting watered properly. I'd leave them for a month and come back and see they were dry and nearly dead. But anyway, besides all that, future plan, lift that up like that. I'd love to have a back branch, but I don't. And I can't see one growing out of that trunk because the bark is so thick. It is seriously a cork bark. I don't know. Such a strange trunk. But anyway, I love this tree. Absolutely love it. And the flowers this thing gets compared to other bottle brushes is amazing. So today, I'm not going to replant it in a different angle. That'll be spring. We're going to replant it. We're going to put it in a bigger pot so it's got more room to grow. And it should get bigger and healthier exponentially. But for now, we're just going to trim the outside of the tree, trim all the branches back. Oh, here's a spider hanging down. Guys probably can't see that. He's coming back up his web. Got a lot of jumping spiders and stuff like that, and I leave them on the bonsai as much as I can because they, get rid of the bugs. And I used to be scared of spiders. Now, working in the vineyard, spiders aren't too much of a concern for me. So let's get into this tree because I've been rattling on here for a while and I haven't even bloody started. So come on. Let's do it. Let's trim this tree. I'll keep you guys live. We'll make this a long one. Not a lot of trimming to do, but there's some. We've got some really good growth. So there'll be some hard cutbacks in some areas. And then this will really make it produce a whole lot of back budding and shooting. And then come spring, this thing, as long as I keep it protected over winter, should have a massive, massive amount of flowers come next year. The good old bottle brush red flowers come next year. So really, really keen on that. You guys will love the close up at the end on this because that trunk and that cork bark, I don't know, I feel like since I've had it, it's really developed even more, but who knows. But it goes out even into the branching, which is absolutely awesome. Such a cool tree. I'll stop going on about it and let's start working on it. Cheers. Okay, so like I say, one of my favourite trees. So what I'm going to do, pretty well cut back everything shortish. Anything that looks too weak, I'm not going to cut back at all. Anything that's quite strong, I'm going to try and cut it back to 2 shoots and chop the branching back and hopefully keep it quite dense. So cut it back to 2 shoots, 2 to 3 shoots, no more than 3, and try and keep it quite dense. Beautiful growth on this, just a growth. Amazes me how a tree can go from the brink of death. You look after it for 1 year, after it nearly died. I mean, when I say nearly died, like, I'm not joking here. it lost at least 50% of its branches and shot out this really weak growth everywhere, which took, I'm not joking, it probably took 2 months for this weak growth that it put out. Ooh. It would have taken 2 months for that to, you know, come from a bud and then start to actually grow into a branch. It took that long. Now, you know, as you can see, she's powering on. She's loving life again. Me and the tree, we're back in sync, and I promised tree. So you and me, we're going to be buddies. Got to be buddies. We have to get along and be buddies. And you know what? I love you, and I hope you love me back. I don't know. It's a strange thing. I just love running my hands through a tree. It's like it gives me some sort of feedback. I know it's super crazy idea, but I just love, you know, even when I'm walking the garden, I walk past and I just run my hands through trees or plants or anything really. It's like it gives me this really soothing feedback sort of thing. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Is it super duper weirdo material, me saying that? Or do you guys get the same feeling? Another thing, while I'm mucking around here talking woo-woo crap, I'll also say bonsai for me has actually turned me into a greenie. Before starting bonsai, if someone cut down a really old tree with a chainsaw and whatever, I used to just get excited about watching the thing fall, you know. Oh wow, look at that big tree just falling over. That's pretty cool. Just watching it fall over with a chainsaw, the last big cut, you know, which made it fall over. And that was the excitement. Now, after bonsai, you know, people say, okay, you're torturing trees by cutting them back, which I guess you are, but I don't believe they have feeling. I believe they have responses to what happens to them, but I don't believe they have actual feeling like nerves like we do. But they do have responses to them. But anyway, what I'm trying to say, I don't know, I hope you guys got that, because I was really getting, I hope you guys got that because I was getting quite deep, you know, quite deep in conversation there. So, what I was trying to say, bonsai, even though yes, you're torturing trees by cutting them, whatever, you put them in a small pot, making them grow slow, okay, maybe it's torture, but these trees get well looked after and they can live for longer than a tree out in the wild as long as you keep looking after them. But not only that, it opens your eyes to nature. So bonsai for me has actually opened my eyes to nature. Before bonsai, there's no way I would have gone out and planted, you know, I think including the garden bed, close to 1,500, I guess you could call it shelter belt plus garden trees, shrubs, whatever, but at least 1,200 shelter belt trees. And I can guarantee you that I would not have planted any of them at all if I hadn't got into bonsai. I would have just been like, yeah, whatever. Used to laugh at a big tree coming down, wow, look at that thing just full, wow, that was awesome, you know. Now it just makes me sad. I just get so, I mean, it's hypocritical of me because I used to love it, but I get so sad and so peed off that anyone could go and do such a thing as to cut down a big old tree. Obviously, if the tree was in the wrong spot, fine, you know, but go and plant 10, 20 trees in its place somewhere else where it's not such a bad spot, rather than just chop it down and that's it. You know, I have a tree which I plan to chop down probably 10 years time, but for now it'll give me some shelter. When I chop it down, I'm not going to feel so bad because I've planted lots of other trees. And for me, bonsai has opened my eyes to that. It's made me look at nature in a whole different way. And I used to hate Australian natives. I used to say just long leggy crappy trees. That was how I rolled. And now in time, I've come to appreciate the Australian natives, and to the point where I'm actually really excited about them. Want to do them as bonsai, plan to shelter about a lot of trees because that's all that could survive out here. And yeah, like I say, bonsai did that for me. Without bonsai, I guarantee you I'd still be sitting inside watching TV with no interest in the garden. But with bonsai, it's got me away from that idea and made me really appreciate trees for what they are and what they do to the environment. And I'm just loving it. I just absolutely love coming out, working on trees and that sort of thing. Now, we've got a really long one here. Obviously it wanted to grow long, and then it comes out to this branch here, but it's too long without a division, so we're going to have to cut it back there and hope that it divides. It should. I'd say that it will. So what happened is, here you can see a nut that just picked off. What happens is it would have flowered, had this really long straight section where the flower was, and then it puts out branches after that. And that's why we ended up with that long section without leaves. So yeah, I mean, after all that hoo-ha, basically what I'm trying to say, people that don't like bonsai because they say that it, you know, is torture, to me, in my eyes, it actually opens your eyes to nature. And I find more than ever, bonsai people start to fall in love and protect, you know, trees, old trees, young trees, whatever trees. And it, you know, that's another thing. It's really good to see that young people these days are a lot more environmentally, I guess, friendly, you could say. And they love the idea of looking after the environment rather than just chopping everything down so that sheep have got some grass feed or whatever. Young people are more environmentally friendly, and you got people doing permaculture now, growing trees to live off, fruit trees and stuff, and really looking at improving the environment, not, you know, destroying it. The old farmer days of ploughing down a whole paddock or ploughing down a whole patch of native trees just so that you could turn it into grazing land is hopefully gone. The young people these days aren't so keen on that, and in the long term, in a system like that, all you do is stuff up the soil, it becomes bare, especially on a bad year it becomes bare, and all your microorganisms and stuff like that in the soil die, and when they die your soil dies, and then your next year's crop will be crap, and the one after that may be worse, and then people abandon their land as far as growing stuff for farming because their land becomes so bad, but then at the same time they don't go and revegetate it. They just, you know, they've stuffed it over the last 100 years and that's it. They don't look after, you know, they just abandon it. And now bits of land like that, I wish there was some sort of scheme to buy it back and replant it, because next to me there's actually the opportunity for me to buy about 120 acres of land, and I could turn it back into native land, plant trees, but for me I can't afford it, so it's really sad.